Well, what about the average Jew you meet? Probably not that religious. 90% plus of American Jews are not traditional, meaning they don't strictly adhere to the dietary laws, strictly adhere to Sabbath observance, strictly adhere to the biblical calendar, strictly adhere to Torah law and rabbinic tradition. Probably less than 10% of American Jews do. Maybe in Israel it's more like 20% that do. That means most Jews you meet will not be that religious. What if they sound not very religious? And I'm not a bad person, I'm just kind of middle of the road, normal, just middle of the road. Well, that may be by human standards, but I'm just curious to see when we read the Hebrew Bible where that category is found. I mean, I read a lot about the righteous and the wicked. I read a lot about sinners and godly. I read a lot about those who are blessed, those who are cursed. I just don't find this middle of the road person. You know what I do find? I find the Torah teaching in Genesis 8 that all of our thoughts, even since our youth, are evil. So let me ask you as a average person, and this is what you'd want to ask this average middle of the road person. Where do you stand with the 10 Commandments? So let's start here. Loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Loving your neighbor as yourself. Where do you stand with those? How are you doing on that score? How about Yeshua said that it's not just committing adultery that's a sin, but lusting with our heart, lusting with our eyes, we're committing adultery in our heart. It's not just murder that's the sin, it's hatred and anger towards someone without cause that's like murder. In other words, when we weigh ourselves in God's standards, we see that we are not so good after all. So I would say to that person who considers themselves average middle of the road, well, how do you line up with God's standards? Because quickly we see everyone falls short.